Good to be here. Good to see some familiar faces. First of all, I just want to start by saying anytime you're asked to return to a place that you helped build, you had a hand in building.
The silence from leadership figures only intensifies the atmosphere, allowing rumors to grow unchecked while fans continue searching for explanations behind the team's visible struggles. That is why the Stephanie White rumor gained so much traction despite being factually incorrect. It tapped directly into the fear, anxiety, and uncertainty surrounding the Fever during the most chaotic and transformative moment in franchise history. 12:58 12 minutes, 58 seconds from the title that she confirmed a resignation. The literal truth is she hasn't confirmed anything of the sort. The most revealing part of the entire controversy surrounding the Indiana Fever may not actually be the viral rumors themselves, but the silence that followed them. Despite explosive speculation spreading across social media claiming that team president Allison Barber had somehow confirmed a shocking resignation tied to the chaos surrounding Caitlin Clark, no such public confirmation was ever officially made. Yet, in the emotionally charged world of professional sports, silence can often become its own form of communication. As the Fever continued struggling on the court, as criticism toward head coach Christie Sides intensified after every loss, and as whispers of locker room tension spread across fan communities and sports media, many observers began interpreting the organization's lack of a forceful public response as evidence that something deeper was wrong internally. There was no dramatic press conference from Barber strongly defending Sides, no united public appearance from management and players, and no aggressive attempt to shut down speculation before it spiraled into a full-scale narrative of dysfunction. That absence created a vacuum that fans and commentators immediately filled with theories, rumors, and fear about the future of the franchise. In modern sports culture, where perception moves faster than facts, silence is often interpreted as weakness, uncertainty, or hidden instability. As a result, many fans began believing that the organization itself lacked confidence in its current direction. Instead of calming the situation, the Fever's quiet approach unintentionally fueled the idea that Christie Sides was being left isolated in the middle of an impossible media storm with little visible support from the front office above her. The pressure surrounding the team now feels far bigger than ordinary rebuilding struggles. To many observers, it has evolved into a symbol of a much larger conflict taking place throughout the entire WNBA. Since Clark entered the league as the most famous rookie women's basketball has ever seen, every hard foul, every controversial comment, and every heated interaction has been analyzed as part of a broader narrative about whether parts of the league resent the unprecedented attention and financial opportunities surrounding her arrival. Viral moments involving aggressive plays from opponents like Chindy Carter became flashpoints in a growing belief among some fans that Clark is facing unusually intense treatment from veteran players frustrated by the massive media spotlight now centered on one rookie. Former stars such as Diana Taurasi made comments early in Clark's transition about the realities of professional basketball and the difficulty of adjusting from college dominance to the WNBA, and those remarks were interpreted by many as signs of resistance from the league's old guard toward the overwhelming hype surrounding Clark. The debate quickly expanded beyond basketball itself and turned into a conversation about respect, legacy, recognition, and power within women's sports. Veteran players who spent years building the league through limited exposure and difficult conditions now watch as Clark instantly becomes the face of sold-out arenas, billion-view social media clips, lucrative endorsement deals, and non-stop national media coverage. To some observers, the physical play against Clark reflects competitive intensity and the normal process of a rookie earning respect at the professional level. To others, it feels personal, excessive, and fueled by resentment toward the attention she receives. Either way, the Fever have become the center of this emotional storm, and every internal issue within the organization now gets magnified under the brightest spotlight the franchise has ever experienced. Christie Sides has found herself trapped in perhaps the most difficult coaching situation in the entire league. She is attempting to develop a generational talent while simultaneously managing veteran personalities, intense fan expectations, relentless media coverage, and growing frustration over the team's inconsistent performances. Every loss increases the pressure, Every awkward on-court moment sparks new criticism, and every rumor about locker room chemistry creates even more scrutiny. Players like Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell are still elite professionals trying to establish their own roles and identities on a team now completely transformed by Clark's arrival. The adjustment has clearly not been smooth, and the tension surrounding the franchise feels increasingly difficult to control. What makes the situation so dangerous is that the Fever are no longer just a basketball team trying to improve. They have become the symbolic center of the WNBA's future, carrying the pressure of ratings growth, national attention, league expansion, media expectations, and cultural debate all at the same time. That enormous weight has turned every Fever game into a referendum on the league itself. The rumors involving Stephanie White ultimately turned out to be factually incorrect, but they succeeded because they tapped into something very real: the widespread belief that the Fever organization is struggling to contain the unprecedented pressure created by the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. Whether the franchise can stabilize itself, repair chemistry issues, and navigate the overwhelming spotlight may ultimately determine not only the future of the Fever, but also the direction of the WNBA during the most transformative moment in its history. What if the biggest crisis surrounding the Indiana Fever has absolutely nothing to do with what fans are watching on the court, but instead revolves around rumors, internal pressure, and a growing sense of chaos unfolding behind closed doors? That is the explosive narrative spreading rapidly across social media as speculation surrounding Caitlin Clark continues to dominate the WNBA. According to the viral rumor, Fever president Allison Barber allegedly confirmed a shocking resignation tied directly to the overwhelming drama surrounding Clark's arrival. At first glance, the story sounds like the perfect modern sports scandal, a legendary basketball figure pushed out as the pressure of managing the most famous rookie in women's basketball history becomes too much for the organization to handle. The internet quickly exploded with theories claiming that longtime Indiana basketball icon Stephanie White had resigned because of internal turmoil connected to Clark and the Fever's unstable environment. Fans flooded forums, social media timelines, and video platforms with speculation that Clark's arrival had already created so much tension that respected leadership figures were abandoning the franchise entirely. The narrative painted a dramatic image of a team collapsing under the weight of the Caitlin Clark effect, with the rookie superstar becoming such an overwhelming cultural phenomenon that the organization itself could no longer contain the chaos surrounding her. But as the story spread, one major factual problem completely unraveled the entire narrative and transformed the rumor into something far stranger and more suspicious. Stephanie White is not the current head coach of the Indiana Fever and has not coached the team for nearly a decade. The actual coach attempting to navigate Clark's rookie season is Christy Sides. That single detail immediately exposed a massive inconsistency and raised a much bigger question. If the rumor was completely wrong about such a basic fact, why did it spread so aggressively, and why was Stephanie White's name specifically being attached to the situation at all? To many observers, that mistake made the entire story feel less like ordinary misinformation and more like deliberate misdirection, almost as if the conversation was intentionally steering public attention toward a famous former coach, while distracting everyone from the intense pressure currently surrounding Christy Sides and the present-day Fever organization. The rumor suddenly became less about Stephanie White herself and more about what her name symbolized. White remains deeply respected within Indiana basketball culture because of her successful run coaching the Fever during the mid-2010s, including a trip to the WNBA Finals in 2015. Her eventual departure from the franchise had nothing to do with scandal or internal conflict. She left professionally to pursue a major opportunity at Vanderbilt University long before Clark ever became a household name. Today, White is actually the successful head coach of the Connecticut Sun, one of the league's strongest and most disciplined teams. That reality makes the rumor even more absurd on the surface, but it also reveals something psychologically important about the current state of the Fever franchise. Fans and commentators are so desperate to explain the dysfunction, pressure, and uneven performance surrounding Clark's rookie season that they are reaching backward into the organization's past, searching for symbols of stability, leadership, and competence. Stephanie White's name represents a time when the Fever appeared more balanced, organized, and emotionally stable, and by invoking her in the current drama, critics are indirectly highlighting the impossible situation Christie Sides now faces every single day. Sides originally accepted the job believing she would quietly rebuild a struggling franchise over several seasons with modest expectations and limited national attention. But the moment the Fever won the draft lottery and selected Caitlin Clark, the entire environment changed overnight. Clark arrived not simply as a talented rookie, but as one of the most famous athletes in America, instantly transforming every Fever game into a nationally scrutinized event. Suddenly, every coaching decision made by Christie Sides became headline material. Every substitution, every timeout, every offensive system, and every late-game play call was dissected by millions of viewers, analysts, and fans. Losses that would normally be considered routine growing pains for a rebuilding team became treated like organizational disasters. Sides found herself trapped in a nearly impossible position where she had to develop Clark, manage veteran players, maintain locker room chemistry, satisfy league expectations, handle relentless media tension, and somehow still win basketball games under unprecedented pressure. If she gave Clark too much freedom, critics accused her of losing control of the team and turning the offense into chaos. If she challenged Clark or held her accountable publicly, fans accused her of sabotaging the franchise's biggest star. The pressure reportedly extended beyond the court and into the locker room itself, where whispers of tension and frustration began to emerge involving veteran players like Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston. These players were once central figures in the organization but suddenly found themselves pushed into supporting roles inside what many fans and media outlets openly referred to as the Caitlin Clark Show. The adjustment was difficult not only strategically, but emotionally. Professional athletes who spent years fighting for recognition now had to navigate a reality where nearly every headline, interview, and television segment revolved around one rookie. Some observers interpreted the awkward chemistry and inconsistent performances as evidence of jealousy or resentment, while others argued it was simply the natural challenge of integrating an extremely ball-dominant superstar into an already existing roster structure. Most likely, the truth sits somewhere in the complicated middle. What is undeniable is that the Fever entered a level of media attention and public scrutiny they were never fully prepared to handle. Every internal issue now becomes national conversation within minutes. Every rumor spreads instantly across the internet, and every sign of frustration fuels even more speculation about the organization's stability. The silence from leadership figures only intensifies the atmosphere, allowing rumors to grow unchecked while fans